Hi, my name is Father Rayappa. I'm from Vellore, South India. Vellore staged one of the important rebellion in 1806, July the 10th, in British Raj. Indian sepoys, they revolted against the British administration in the fort of Vellore. Usually, this rebellion was considered to be a small one and forgotten. Always, mutiny means we remember the 1857, the Meerut mutiny. That is the celebrated mutiny. Even a movie by Amir Khan, Mangal Pandey, it talks about the Meerut Sepoy mutiny of 1857. So, 50 years before 1857, Vellore, they staged a small-scale mutiny which started revolution all over India. So I think Vellore Sepoy mutiny, we should give its proper significance. And we don't hear much about Vellore mutiny. There are no movies. There are no celebrated books, nothing. But 1857 Meerut Mutiny is celebrated very much. Anyway, I'm very happy about it. As a student of history, I'm concerned about Vellore Mutiny because I'm from Vellore. So I need to talk about it more. So I think I would love to call the Vellore Mutiny as the great rebellion or the first war of independence. So that is the title I want to give to Vellore Mutiny. The first war of independence. Indian Mutiny, the great rebellion, the Indian rebellion, the revolt of 1806, the rebellion of 1806, the uprising of 1806, the Sepoy rebellion, the Indian insurrection, and the Sepoy mutiny. So there are so many titles I can use it to describe what happened on July the 10th, 1806 in Vellore. The Vellore mutiny was the first instance of a large-scale and violent mutiny by Indian sepoys. Sepoys are known as soldiers against the British East India Company, predating the Indian rebellion of 1857 by half a century, 50 years. Vellore Mutiny was a bloody affair with both the British and the native exile rulers fighting for justice. The revolt, which was waged in the South Indian town of Vellore, was rather brief, lasting only one full day. But the extent of brutality it had employed is unsurpassed in warring tactics of those times. The 1,500 sepoys located in the Vellore garrison mutinied and killed or wounded over 200 of 370 Europeans in the fort on the fated day of July 10, 1806. The mutiny was put down by British dragoons dispatched from the nearby Arcot due to quick response of Colonel Robert Gillespie. They stormed the fortress at Vellore, which had been taken over and occupied by the sepoys, and ruthlessly shot and slashed their way through the fortress. About 350 sepoys were killed in this assault at the cost of 130 British dragoons. The mutiny was ended, and William Bentinck, the British Governor General of Madras, was replaced for his failure to prevent the mutiny. This war was triggered by the cultural arrogance and insensitivity that characterized British colonial policy in the 19th century. The British East India Company, seeking to introduce Western-style military uniformity into the ranks of native troops under the command of the company, ordered that all sepoys discard their turbans and wear leather military headdress. Furthermore, no caste marks or other ornaments were to be worn during parades. Hindus were prohibited from wearing religious marks on their foreheads, and Muslims were required to shave their beard and trim their moustache. This offended both Hindu and Muslim sepoys and went contrary to an earlier warning by a military board that sepoy uniform changes should be given every consideration which a subject of that delicate and important nature required. These apparently minor changes, intended to improve the soldierly appearance of the men, created strongly resentment among the soldiers. In May 1806, some revolting soldiers were sent to Fort St. George, that is Madras. 2 soldiers, a Hindu and a Muslim, were given 90 lashes each and their services terminated for some crime. 19 soldiers were punished with 50 lashes each and forced to seek pardon from the East India Company. In addition to the military grievances listed above, the rebellion was also instigated by the sons of the defeated Tipu Sultan, confined at Vellore since 1799. Tipu's wives and sons, together with numerous retainers, were pensioners of the East India Company and lived in a palace within the large complex comprising the Vellore Fort. One of Tipu Sultan's daughters was to be married on July 9, 1806. The plotters of the mutiny amassed at the fort under the ruse of attending the wedding. The objectives of the civilian conspirators remain obscure, but by seizing and holding the fort, they may have hoped to encourage a general rising through the territory of the former Mysore Sultan. 2 hours after the midnight, on July 10th, the sepoys surrounded the fort and killed most of the British. The rebels seized control by daybreak and raised the flag of the Mysore Sultanate over the fort. Tipu's second son, Fateh Hyder, was declared king. However, a British officer escaped and alerted the garrison in the nearby Arcot. 9 hours later, the British 19th Light Dragoons, led by Colonel Gillespie, and the Madras cavalry entered the fort through gates that had not been fully secured by the sepoys. Arriving at Vellore, Gillespie found the surviving Europeans, about 60 men of the 69th, commanded by NCOs and 2 assistant surgeons, still clinging to the ramparts, but they were out of ammunition. Unable to gain entry through the defended gate, Gillespie climbed the wall with the aid of a rope and a sergeant's sash which was lowered to him. And to gain time, he led the 69th in a bayonet charge along the ramparts. When the rest of the 19th arrived, Gillespie had them blow in the gates with their gallop guns and made a second charge with the 69th to clear a space inside the gate to permit the cavalry to deploy. The 19th and the Madras cavalry then charged and slaughtered any sepoy who stood in their way. About 100 sepoys who had sought refuge in the palace were brought out and by Gillespie's order placed against the wall, and all of them shot dead. The remaining of the Vellore mutiny was a foregone conclusion. After the incident, the imprisoned royals were transferred to Calcutta. The controversial interference with social and religious customs of the sepoys was abolished, as was flogging. After formal trial, 6 mutineers were blown away from guns, 5 shot by firing squad, 8 hanged, and 5 transported. The 3 Madras battalions involved in the mutiny were all disbanded. The senior British officers responsible for the offensive dress regulations were recalled to England and the orders themselves cancelled. Apart From these concessions, the British East India Company learned little from this incident, and the general resentment would culminate in the mutiny of 1857, which is known as Indian Rebellion of 1857, that is Meerut Mutiny, when similar circumstances of ignoring native sentiments nearly cost the whole of India. The events of 1857 caused the British Crown to take over East India Company lands in India with the Government of India Act 1858, which saw the total dissolution of the East India Company. So such a great rebellion happened in the city of Vellore, and I am from Vellore. I think to cause mutiny, it is in our blood. I am a mutineer. I don't take anything just for the sake of taking it all, but I always question everything. It is in our bloodline. All the Vellore people are mutineers, and we know to resent, and we know to fight, how to fight, and we need the truth. Otherwise, we are not satisfied at all. And there are so many atrocities going on in Indian soil right now in politics and in other structures. So we need to take control, and we should become generals and mutineers and insurrectionists. So we need to have the people of rebellion. Without rebellion, I don't think we can accomplish anything. So mutiny you can do alone. Rebellion, it takes hundreds of people. So it takes time. Mutiny you can do at any time, at your own space. So mutiny also is one of the powerhouse to gain freedom or independence or to bring out some change. Mutiny is necessary. It may be a spiritual, it has a spiritual connotation. I can call it a spiritual mutiny, maybe inside our own consciousness, and we can make rebellion against so many laws, unjust laws I'm talking about, and we can do that. Alone we can do that. That is the importance of mutiny. Rebellion, as I told you, takes many people, and everybody should agree, and you should come and form a group and then go and fight. But mutiny, only you can do it. You have the blood of mutiny. Remember and use it. Thank you.